Hey guys, Just Nerds here, and this year has shown a lot of love for superheroes on TV. Am I right, guys?
Yeah.
So there have been a total of 5 comic book shows, including DC's Constantine on NBC, Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on ABC, DC's Gotham on Fox, and finally DC's Arrow and DC's The Flash on the CW. Now, over the last few months, we have constantly seen most of these shows from week to week, picking up shows, dropping them at the same time. So, since all these shows have recently done their mid-season finales and are gone for a little while, we thought we would give our opinions and thoughts on what we think of these shows so far, since they're halfway done already. So, we will start with DC's Constantine. None of us have really seen this show, but Blake has seen an episode or his...
Okay, so let me give you a rundown, guys. My dad is a really big TV fan. He loves Supernatural, The Walking Dead, a lot of those popular sort of horror kind of shows, like, you know, those popular, supernatural horror shows kind of.
Supernatural's a good show.
He has been watching Constantine. He's about a couple episodes in. He's been watching it pretty faithfully, I'd say. And upon going downstairs and talking to him about the show, he was finishing up an episode, and I personally found the show to be really, really weird looking just on what I saw. And I only saw about 3 minutes of it. I asked my dad, what do you think of this show? Is it better than Supernatural, The Walking Dead? And he kind of shook his head and said not even close. It's good, it's okay. He basically said that it's just okay. It's
nothing special.
It's nothing special,
average,
it's just kind of...
really. Okay, so that's really all the information we have on that. So watch that if you have been, and
give it a watch if you're curious. But I mean, none of us really have any formal opinions to state.
And none of us really care about the character that much either.
Yeah, I've never cared about
stuff like that.
So
next is season 2 of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Watch the first season. Watch a little bit of the first episode of the second season. I just lost interest in it. Just didn't.
Yeah, I remember all 3 of us were really excited for season 1 when that was coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And Blake, I think he stopped watching at the first episode, right?
No, here's the thing. I watched up to about episode 5, and then I feel like the show, I thought it was going to be really good because, it was going to be...
Because you're I want to see these things behind the scenes and who picks up after these superheroes, stuff like that.
I mean, they just had the Avengers. That was huge.
Yeah.
And I mean, to have a show that's going to be going off of that would be sounds pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
It never really kind of went anywhere that felt decent enough to be watched constantly or faithfully.
I went probably just a few, maybe 10 episodes into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and I was like, yeah, it's fine, but getting kind of bored, and then I stopped watching, and then Gerber said the last few episodes were really good because I was working off of Captain America. And so I was like, okay, I didn't watch the rest of the first season, but I was like, I'll start fresh on the second. Watch the first episode. It feels the same. It doesn't feel like it's going anywhere
watching
else.
The first episode of the second season, it felt weird. There was a ton of new characters that were introduced, and they were trying to rebuild S.H.I.E.L.D., so I just lost interest because it wasn't even about, the Marvel heroes anymore. It was more about them, because the show always had the factor that maybe not every episode, but a lot of it had to deal with some part of the heroes.
I feel like it was connected in some way to the movies in a sense. But now
and
it's
I
just
understand they were trying to pull away from the movies, but still, I just...
Yeah, but now it feels like they're doing their own separate thing, and it feels really meh.
Yeah. I think for me, it kind of felt weird seeing Coulson come back. Because, I mean, it felt like it took the Avengers and was basically oh yeah, that was really, really good. We'll check this out. This is kind of the same thing, but it's different. And I was like...
It feels like the show was just a cop-out to bring Coulson back.
Yeah.
I love Phil Coulson. He's a great character. I love his actor, too. But I mean, And Joss Whedon really likes him, because he's in A Much Ado About Nothing and a couple of his movies. I have nothing against the character or anything, but, seeing him come back is kind of just like a retcon to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess.
It's just kind of like...
And it's why is he alive? And then they show why. I was like... It's kind of lame.
Yeah, evidently, I hear that they're leading up to the Inhumans movie, not the
Avengers
2, and I was like, I
think they introduced a character. He's part of the Inhumans or something like that. All I know is that he has no eyes. It's just not even eyelids or whatever. It's just skin.
Okay, so Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., we're not really interested in it anymore. It doesn't really seem to be going anywhere, and That's it, really.
Yeah, I can't. It didn't hold me for too long.
Yeah.
I have to say that, and it's kind of sad to say, but yeah, that's all how I feel.
So we're starting with the more popular shows now. This was probably the one we were not anticipating the most, but we were thinking it could be either really good or really bad, and that is DC's Gotham. So how'd you think that has turned out so far?
I watched the first 4 episodes, and then it just turned into like a regular cop show to me. Maybe towards the end, it became like more about like Batman and stuff like that. But to me, it was a cop show, and then you see Penguin doing his own thing. But
yeah, I remember before the show starting, I was like, Elijah, I feel like it's going to be a cop show with like a Batman skin over it. And after seeing the first one, I was like, that wasn't too bad. Like, it could be pretty good, but then seeing...
Because I think the first 2, like, I saw it and I was just like, okay, maybe...
Yeah.
And then after that, it became a cop show.
Yeah, really just a cop show with Batman characters in it.
Yeah, I mean, at first when you said, I think it's just going to be a cop show, I was kind of like, no, I think it could be a little bit more. I mean, I remember saying that, and unfortunately, I was kind of disappointed because it kind of did become that, and the problem for me is it just tried to be a little bit, it just tried to do too much, you know what I mean? Like, you had the Penguin and either a little Joker reference in there and, like, Catwoman and Bruce Wayne already starting to look like Batman.
Those references are just, they're not even subtle. Like, the ones that have an Arrow or the Flash, they put them so much out there.
Yeah.
Like, with Poison Ivy, like, Ivy, come here. That's not her name. Her name isn't Ivy. I don't know why they would call her that in the first place.
Yeah, I know. And then the Riddler always making, like, the jokes like, we all
it's like, he's not crazy yet. I don't understand.
I did like how the Riddler, like, he took an interest in Gordon after he solved his riddles, and he was just like, oh, this guy.
I don't know. I mean, I really was looking forward to the show.
Yeah, same here.
I watched up to about, like, the 5th episode, and then I lost track of it. I have them all on my DVR, but honestly, at the end of the day, I just don't really have much of an interest to watch
here.
it.
It's been on my DVR for weeks, and I'm just like, I have no interest in watching it.
Yeah, I feel like it's just going a little bit too fast, but too slow at the same time. You know what I mean? Because, like, you see Bruce Wayne already becoming Batman.
Yeah, that's one of my major complaints, because he doesn't turn out like that until, like, his college years at the earliest, you know? And they're doing it, like, because, like, remember he was doing his hand over the candle, like, I'm testing my fear. Like, your parents just died, like, a week ago. What are you doing?
And then, one episode that him and Alfred were sword fighting.
Yeah.
I guess Alfred was training
like, they go and, like, beat up Bruce Wayne's bullies, like, I heard something like that. Because he had bullies, and they go to their houses and beat them up, I think, something like that. And I don't...
Because, you know, that's teaching Batman justice. Hey, take vengeance in a really nice, mean way. I mean, it's weird, you know? I mean...
It doesn't make sense that he would focus that Bruce Wayne would be more like Batman already as a kid, you know?
I feel like, honestly, at first glance, the show looks like it has a lot of potential, but I feel like when you look at it, like, all the aspects, it's just like, there's really... It's kind of hard to do because you got Bruce Wayne, and what are you going to do with him once his parents are gone? I mean, is he going to just be a crybaby, or is he going to man up? I mean, like, you can try to find an in-between, but I feel like that's
they've tried,
hard.
but they've done it weird.
Yeah, they did it so weird. And Cobblepot and everybody. I mean,
I did like the Penguin. The Penguin was, like, a really good part of the show, but...
Yeah, the actors are actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I like James Gordon. I like everybody, I'd say. I mean, there's nobody that really comes off to me as annoying.
Yeah, it's just the writing.
Yeah, just the writing is just kind of... It's alright.
It's like I told Blake a few weeks before, like, what I heard from a video. It's like, if you think about it, do you care about these characters because they're like these characters, or because they're more like Batman characters? Because you look at Cat, which also makes no sense why she's called Cat. The only reason we are following her, and the reason we kind of care, is because she's gonna be Catwoman. If she wasn't, I wouldn't care at all what happened to her.
I'd agree with that, actually. I do have to say that, honestly, at the end of the day, I just don't care in these characters anymore.
Like, the only reason people have a certain interest is because these are Batman characters, not because these are good characters.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And it's just such an awkward show, kind of, at the end of the day. Because, like I don't know, I look at the whole city, and I see the James Gordon, like, you know, being the one good cop, and everybody else is off bat. I'm like, all right, we get it. The city needs Batman. Where is he? Like, let's just get to the point. Like... We get that, like, I feel like we get that the city sucks.
Yeah.
But, you know, where's Batman? We
well,
get
that's the whole point, because the city doesn't start to change until, like, Batman comes in.
Yeah. And
so the whole thing, James Gordon's whole quest is to make the city better, but you know it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, I know,
it's only
exactly.
just gonna get worse. And then what? Like 17 years later, Batman comes along and it gets better.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's kind of weird. Like,
Because
when
there's
the
there's no goal. Like you don't know. Well, from what I've seen, maybe there's a goal later in
Yeah.
the show. But from what I've seen, is there's no goal. It was like, oh, Bruce Wayne's becoming Batman. Well, that doesn't happen until he's in his 20s.
Exactly.
And then it's like, well, James Gordon's trying to make the city better. He's not, because the city's never gonna get better.
Yeah, I feel like the audience kind of knew that. Like, oh, we want to see how James Gordon's going to change the city. He's not going to do anything. He's just a guy. I mean, Batman's just a man, but I mean, God's sakes, he's Batman. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's... It's just...
because the relationship between Gordon and Batman is really interesting, but Gordon by himself, with no really good supporting characters with him, is kind of,
Yeah.
boring.
Gordon is a great character. I mean, I read Batman Year One by Frank Miller. That was a great comic. I mean, it got James Gordon down really well.
Yeah.
Did his character well. But I feel like without that Batman element, he's just kind of, you just kind of lose character because he's, nothing too special.
I
Just a
think-
really good cop.
What happens is they threw Bruce Wayne in there too much. If they just like
Yeah.
every couple episodes he comes in, but they were like they throw him in there and it's like, oh, Bruce Wayne's going Batman. And they just did it and let it become a cop show, and didn't like force to be like, hey, it's also a comic book show, but really it's just a cop show. Then I think it would have been better. But they're just like forcing Batman and Batman villains in front
Yeah.
of what it really is.
I think it takes a really, really hardcore Batman fan to at least enjoy this show. I love Batman. I think he's an amazing hero, but I'm just not that big a fan to sit down and watch something about specifically Gotham City. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
Well,
so-
it's not really interesting without
Yeah.
Batman or the villains.
yeah,
Like if you think about it, the characters, they're not interesting until they become what they are.
Yeah, and you can slowly see them becoming them, and they don't become them until Batman comes. You know what I mean? And that's like, this is really, really slow. And like Victor Zsasz came in and stuff like that.
Well, it's true because Batman pretty much creates most of his villains.
Yeah,
Joker,
I mean-
the Riddler, sort of.
Yeah, and they're already giving us these characters now, and I
Yeah.
think it's just a little.
So
rushed.
ultimately, kind of disappointing. We don't really care for it now, and it probably will be canceled. I can't really say now,
Mhm.
but I can't really see it going anywhere from here on out. So, but we're gonna start on the ones that we have really enjoyed this past season. We'll start with the newcomer, DC's The Flash.
Okay, when this was building up, with Barry Allen's cameo in the Arrow episode, I was really, really excited to see what they were going to do. I mean, I liked the actor,
Yeah.
Grant Gustin. I thought he was a little bit too skinny, but I mean,
Yeah,
actually, at
that's-
the end of the day, I was like,
When I saw him, I was excited for the Flash, but I was also nervous because I didn't know
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
he could really. Because the Flash in the comics, he's jacked.
yeah.
Like he's big, and
Yeah,
I
I'd say
didn't
he's
know if he was
toned.
like leading.
yeah, he's more toned.
Oh, well,
He's not Jack.
No, Superman and Batman are.
Yeah,
pretty
Flash is
okay,
toned.
those. All right, compared to them, he's toned, but like compared to a normal person, he's.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, he's the freaking Flash.
But
so.
but when I saw Grant Gustin, he's like this skinny guy, and I was just like, I wonder if he can do it. But he turned out to be really good.
Yeah, he got the personality down
Yeah.
perfectly well, and I
Yeah.
give credit to
Well,
writers
he's
and
a really
actors.
good young Flash.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very likable as a young Flash because with the cameo, they kind of made him really, really nerdy because he was like, because when he was working with Oliver, even before he found out it was the Arrow, he was kind of geeking out all over the place. I was like, okay, I wonder how far they're gonna push it in the Flash, but they've really toned it down in the Flash show, and he's great
This sounds weird, but he kind of reminds me of Peter Parker in a way.
in a way. Yeah.
In a way, like not
In a way,
totally.
yeah,
I mean,
but in a way, yeah,
But I feel like he's got that nerdy aspect, and people don't like him,
yeah,
kind of just cause.
yeah. But
And I mean, it kind of reminds me of Peter Parker in a way. But I think it's different enough to the point
yeah,
where
but
it's
this
not.
show's been very enjoyable to watch every week.
And the cool thing about it is it's fun, it's energetic,
Yeah.
it's funny. It's just a really good show. I think this is actually, if I was to put it in I guess the best terms to describe it, this is actually kind of what I want in a superhero show. It reminds me a lot of the animated series by Bruce Timm and stuff like that, like Justice League,
Yeah,
Superman.
because this show has, like you said, a lot of enjoyment. It's really fun, energetic, but at the same time, you can still do those serious and awesome moments, like up to the point before Captain Cold. It was more fun and more energetic, but then Captain Cold, that was a more serious episode,
Yeah.
and that was really cool.
Yeah, and it never.
I'm sort of happy they're getting Because the Flash, he has like the big villains. I guess his big villains, Reverse Flash, Captain Cold, and then Grodd. But I'm sort of happy they already got like the obscure villains
Yeah.
Mhm.
out of the way already because can't really do anything.
Yeah,
with
like
them.
like Rainbow Rider and all those other characters. But you know what? The cool thing about them is that they took such funny characters and
Yeah,
like with such
they made
odd
them
names.
more cool.
Yeah, exactly. They made them what like Bruce Timm and them did
Yeah.
with the animated series.
Like,
they made them respectable. They made them cool looking.
Yeah,
And-
like with Weather Wizard, he is kind of goofy and has a wand to
Yeah.
not carry, control the weather.
yeah,
But in this one, it's him controlling it from inside, and
Mhm.
Turns out
He made it
he's
pretty cool.
probably coming back because
I kinda
at the
thought
at
so.
the DC panel when they showed it, they said he has a brother, and even though they said he died in the
Oh.
show, they said he's coming back because his brother is actually the one in the comics that's the Weather
Interesting.
Wizard.
nice. Well, I'm looking forward to that. I liked Multiplex. Multiplex was a really cool villain. Because his power was a little bit odd, and I thought his name was. I'm like, who the heck is Multiplex? But after watching the episode, I'm like, I like this guy. He's a
Yeah.
good villain for the Flash. I'm looking forward to Captain Cold. I'm looking forward to Heatwave, Mirror Master. I'm really
Yeah.
looking to Mirror Master, especially after I saw Doom, Justice League Doom, the animated movie. Oh man, Mirror Master was like, wow, this guy looks really cool. I hope they bring him into this movie, this show.
even the side cast, they've been actually pretty cool as well. Like what's it, Fitz?
Cisco and
Cisco, there you
Caitlin
go.
and stuff like
yeah,
that.
Cisco
and
is really funny.
Dr. Wells. Oh,
Yeah.
dude, such great characters. I
Yeah.
will say that they
He has
never.
a really good creepy
Yeah.
professor.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing that kind of gets me kind of off-putting is like how every single like DC comic character has that commissioner or detective guy on their side.
yeah, I was seeing that too.
Like I looked
yeah.
at the Flash, I'm like, does he really have somebody like that? Like,
yeah, same here.
I mean, I'm glad that he's at least like
Yeah, because
his
even
dad.
even Arrow's doing it too.
Yeah, I'm glad that he's like his surrogate dad and stuff like that. Like
Yeah,
that's enough to change
The
it
the
up.
cast is very dynamic.
Well,
and,
but Arrow, like at first he hated him. This one was just like the first episode or second
Yeah,
episode.
that's
Like, let's go.
Best
I
buddies.
feel like that was kind of just they didn't want to go through all that like
Yeah.
Arrow. They wanted to skip to the point,
Yeah, I feel like all the actors and actresses were picked pretty well. Everybody
Yeah.
fills their
And
role
very
well.
dynamic. They work off of each other well.
Yes, they do. Cisco's hilarious. I
Yeah,
love his dialogue.
yeah, he's
It's just
great.
so great.
He's great.
Yeah, Caitlyn's a very strong character, and I like that. She's
Yeah.
Turns
It's
bad.
giving interesting, how
Awesome.
they deal with her becoming a villain. I don't know if they'll do that route because
Who is she?
she's
Killer Freeze.
Killer Frost. Yeah, she's
Oh,
Killer
she's
Frost.
Killer Frost.
Yeah, she's Killer Frost.
Really?
That would be pretty interesting to see because I don't know if they'll go that route or she'll be good and then maybe go crazy later on, but that'll be cool to see.
We'll see where that one goes because I mean, wow, that's awesome. And then we have Reverse Flash and stuff like that. I mean,
Firestorm.
and Captain Cold. Okay, wow, that episode itself was awesome. I
Yeah.
mean, when I first watched the episode, I was sitting there with my brother who really likes the show, and we were talking, and you know how his costume wasn't the
Yeah.
classic,
Yeah, we're
classic
like,
little
is
fuzzy.
he gonna get the coat? And then he gets like, he got the coat.
Yeah, me and my brother were sitting there watching, like, do you think you're gonna get the code? We're like, nah, probably not.
I
This
like
show.
how they didn't like play up the whole coat. Like he was walking, he saw him, was like, they just showed up with the coat
Yeah, he
on.
just showed up with it. That was
Yeah.
cool.
Like we were watching in we were like, this show probably is going to take itself a little bit more seriously. You got the coat, and it didn't like make it look weird. I
No.
was like, they
It's
got.
just a normal coat.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I'm really glad that they got like the costumes. Great,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like Reverse Flash, holy crap, that's an amazing costume. I love that.
And
suit.
then I hear there's rumors that season 2 of the Flash will try to build up more of the Justice League. So that'll be really cool
That'll
to
be
see.
awesome.
Is there plans for a Justice League show? Or
You never know. I mean, hey,
you don't know because like I said, season 2 of the Flash will build up more of that. So we'll see in the future.
if Arrow and the Flash work, I mean, hey, you never
Yeah.
know. That would be pretty
And
cool.
there's also a really cool episode too, the crossover Pinos.
yeah.
Mhm. I will say now that this is probably
Those crossovers were great because it showed Arrow that he can be
Yeah.
a regular person and not just like the vigilante, and it showed Flash that you can't take this lightly just because you have powers. That you actually have to. This is a real thing and it's real dangerous.
Mhm. I will say though that the Flash crossover was kind of predictable.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah,
was looking
I
at this. I was like, "This is Batman versus Superman."
Yeah,
like,
in the first 5 minutes of the Flash episode, I was like, okay, I know how this is gonna go down.
yeah,
Yeah, well, because they showed the fight. It's like Flash versus Arrow. I was like, I wonder why they're fighting. And then when the guy showed that can control emotions, like oh, that's why they're fighting.
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah. But I mean, I was literally like, you just swapped them. That's it. Like,
Yeah.
but that fight. Oh my gosh, that fight was
That
awesome.
was pretty cool. But-
Yeah.
So great show, but that finale was amazing. I loved it. It was so good.
At the very end, I thought it was a little underwhelming because like Flash didn't get to fight him that much. Like he fought him in the stadium, which was awesome.
Yeah,
but at the
that
very
was
end,
awesome.
it was kind of like.
But yeah,
kinda just ran
it
away.
shows just how much Flash needs to get stronger.
Yeah, I mean it shows how farther he needs to go to become
but
the
if
Flash.
he
You know.
if he kind of like beat Reverse Flash, like, well, what else you have?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's cool. They
showed that he's still...
showed that they bring in Reverse Flash. He kicks his butt, and then he's like, well,
the
where do we go
Reverse
from
Flash
here?
probably isn't coming into like the end of the season.
Yeah,
Or
I like that
maybe
how he
second
showed up, but then he just kicked the Flash's butt, and then he left. That was awesome.
This show honestly is the one I'm looking forward to the
Well,
most.
I agree.
The thing is, it like when Reverse Flash showed up, I was like, oh, Dr. Wells isn't Reverse Flash then. And then at the end, it shows him with the Reverse Flash costume. I'm like, is he?
Yeah, it's.
I think
it's because of just how this is an original character. We don't know what they're gonna do with him, so that's really cool. We still don't know what they're doing with Reverse Flash.
I think Dr. Wells was just that fast to be able to switch costumes and fight himself in a way. I mean, you never know.
Well, it's
I
not
mean,
just that,
that's what I was looking at. I was
he
looking at this.
He was in the bubble, and then he was outside, so he wouldn't be able to run back and forth that fast. So
Good point. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I think at this point it's not confirmed, but I think they've really foreshadowed that it's Eddie for the future because he acts like, why didn't he kill me? He's like, I don't know why. So Harrison has connections with Reverse Flash, but for right now, I think it's showing that it's kind of Eddie at this point.
Well, you can already see Eddie
because like
to...
he hates the Flash right now, building the task force, and then in the future you can
Well,
see
at the end of the episode, didn't he
He's
like
like,
where he was
alright,
he was cool with the Flash because the Flash saved them all or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Or is he gonna be like, he saved us, but
I don't know. We'll see, but you can still see that. You can see how it could happen like that.
Yeah. Honestly, I just want to say this now. This is probably the closest thing I have to exactly what I want in a superhero show. It's got
I agree.
fun. It's not too dark and serious. It's not to the point where it's like, okay, this is like just,
Yeah, I love watching it. Haven't gotten bored in one episode yet.
Me either. I honestly think that it's just so good. The villains are great. I think it's all around not perfect, of course, but it's probably one of the best superhero shows I've seen. Comparable to even Justice League, which is, you guys know, is my favorite. So.
It's interesting how they'll go from here because they could go anywhere from right now.
A lot of possibilities, a lot of what's the word?
Potential.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of potential and a lot of places to go, and I'm really, really looking forward to what they're going to do. So
I agree.
That sums up my thoughts on that show.
So we'll end right now with DC's The Arrow.
Oh boy.
Season 3.
Okay. Would you like to go first? I know this is like your favorite show.
you guys can go. Then I'm gonna explain to you what's gonna happen.
Okay.
Because your argument, I have a reason.
All right, here we go.
Okay, well, me and Blake, we've come to decide that Arrow has just basically become Batman.
Yeah, okay. Let me just kind of say this. First season was good. He was killing people.
Yeah, there were enough differences, but also enough similarities to show the connections, but still differentiate between the two.
Then he stops killing people, but then at first I was like, okay, well they could make him a little bit more, witty and humorous, like they do in Injustice and the animated series. Like I thought that's where they were honestly going to go.
But then they brought Slade, and I was like, they're bringing a Batman villain. I was like, well, to be
Slade
fair,
isn't a Batman.
but I was like, to be fair, it's not strictly a Batman villain.
Mm-hmm.
So
he's sort of just a DC villain.
So I was fine with that, and I can see why Oliver would be more dark because of his past with Slade.
Yeah. Especially the way they portrayed Deathstroke, with him always being there, knowing everything already.
Exactly.
That was pretty scary, and I'll admit, but I mean...
Yeah, but then season 3, you're like, well, maybe he'll become the more lighthearted since he got rid of Slade.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
But I was like, well, the way the show's been, maybe not, and it didn't turn out that way.
Yeah, the final nail in the coffin was bringing in Ra's al Ghul. Oh my god. Where do I begin? Like... Ra's al Ghul, like, I get that the League of Assassins is like, we're a big organization and everything, but Ra's? Like...
What other villain is there, though?
There's a lot of them. I mean...
Yeah, and now
do you really want Green Arrow villains as a main villain?
No, they don't have to be Green Arrow, but I mean, like, Ra's al Ghul, that was meant to be Batman's, like, main villain. Like, I heard interviews about the guys who created Ra's al Ghul, and you know how Sherlock Holmes has Moriarty? Well, basically they said that was what Ra's al Ghul was supposed to be for Batman. like the Moriarty, like the really bad villain for him, like not the Joker, but like that match of wit.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you put Arrow there, it's, I mean, oosh, I don't even know. Like it's just hard to.
Yeah, and now that him and Detective Lance are really, closer now,
Yeah.
and it's like the Gordon and Batman
Exactly.
feeling.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay, well,
it's
first
just-
off, when it comes to Ra's al Ghul, there's no other. Like, what villain would you want?
Well, I think
Because after Slade, they had to get a big villain, and there's no Green Arrow villain that's quite as good as Slade. So,
Well, I mean, you don't have to get a specifically Green Arrow villain. There's a ton of DC villains out there who are still very threatening and who have a lot of potential. And I mean, The Flash showed that perfectly. I mean, they took villains that had, like, pretty much nothing going for them. And then they brought them back into this show, into The Flash. I'm sorry to go back to The Flash, but, like, they made them good again. I feel like Green Arrow could do that, and I love the selection of villains that they went through. I feel like every villain has been pretty dang good up to this point. My only problem is that I feel like they're just kind of I don't know, like what's going on here? Why Ra's al Ghul suddenly? Like, I love Ra's al Ghul, I love him, but I mean, their relationship seems on the same state that Batman and except Ra's al Ghul likes Batman and I don't.
no, Ra's al Ghul and Green Arrow's relationship is like that. Oliver only went to Ra's al Ghul to save Thea. It's not like they know each other and like they test each other. Oliver went there and Ra's al Ghul's like, I'm literally gonna kill you.
Yeah.
He didn't accept it as a challenge. He was just like, I'm going to kill you. This isn't even a challenge for me. And then he killed him. They confirmed it. He is going to become that Green Arrow. They're just working up to it. At first he was a vigilante. Then he was the Arrow. Now he's just the Arrow. So they're working up to Green Arrow. It's just, he's not going to show up one day and just be out like that. It's a process. They said they wanted a more human hero, like one of a more human hero than you've seen in a while.
Yeah, I kind of feel like they're pushing more the depressing era on us more
Yeah.
because because like season
I
one,
mean-
because season one I could see that that's how we started out with the list and everything, and then season two with Slade I get that because the dark past and he has to deal with everything that's going on, but then season three I was like, well, you have the potential and the opportunity to do the more lighthearted.
He was
because-
in the first episode. You can see that it was a little
Well,
bit
it was
more
for like
lighthearted.
5 minutes.
And then
though.
Sarah died. You expect him to be all
No,
happy?
no, that's why. Why do you have to bring in something back in the
because
first episode?
this
to
whole
make him dark
season is
again?
about him finding who he is. He's discovering who he is. Is
Didn't
he
he do
Oliver
that
Queen or
last
is he-
season?
No, he was still juggling between the two. And then after he lost Queen Consolidated, he just became the vigilante. That's what this whole thing is. He thinks now he can only be the Hood. Eventually, when he discovers, that's what Barry was a big help because he told him that he can still inspire people as Oliver Queen.
Beyond that,
So he's working up to being the Green Arrow that we know and like. It's just that it's not going to happen because we don't just one day come back from an island, be all serious, and then lose everything, and then lose everything again, and then just be happy. You got
Well-
to build up to it.
It's like you said, he was happy though.
oh, like here's the thing. Okay, let me just
I
kind
wouldn't
of.
say he was in a better place than he was before, and then Sarah died, and then it's just like I feel as though they're just getting out all this bad stuff, so that way he can learn and grow and become the Green Arrow that we.
But
know.
like, I don't know. I feel like they had so many opportunities to. I mean, I'm not saying one day he's just going to be all happy and cheery, but like, I'm saying it's a process. But like, they've never really shown that he's going there at all. Like, he's just still Batman. Like, okay, it's like,
again, he's turning into that character.
but I don't see
It's
it
been
happening.
It's been
like,
3 years. It's not like. But how long did it take for Batman to become Batman? It wasn't like he just showed up and was like.
Well, Batman's kind of always been depressed, hasn't he? Like ever since.
No, but I mean, like.
Yeah, I mean,
But Batman went through years and years of training.
Well,
Like,
okay.
Green Arrow's only been doing this for like 8 years.
Well, it's not the. Well, that's the training.
Five
aspect
of which has been spent on an island.
I just don't see any of the Green Arrow qualities in this character that make Green Arrow Green Arrow. Like, he's not even called Green Arrow, he's called
That's
the
that's
Arrow.
what they mean. Like, he's working up to being called Green Arrow and becoming Green Arrow. Right now, he's the Arrow.
Like,
Eventually, he's gonna
what's with the
become.
objects? Like,
Eventually, he's gonna become Green Arrow. That's their whole point. They said they want a human character. They want it to be like relatable. Do you think you'd be cracking jokes if you had Oliver Queen's life right now?
no, but Peter Parker does it perfectly fine. His life sucks more than Oliver Queen's, I'd say. I mean, I'm just saying that this Green Arrow just, it's not, I mean, I feel like
They're not trying to make that Green Arrow. They're not trying to do that. They're making a Green Arrow that has to become that Green Arrow. They're making a Green Arrow that's human, that's going through all these problems, and he's not happy. But eventually, he's got to work through it, and then he discovers who he is, and he becomes a Green Arrow.
We could do this for like another hour, this discussion, but let's actually move on to the rest of the show, like the side cast and what's been going on in the show.
Sorry, guys. Okay, I think the storyline is great. You know what I mean? I love the storyline. Deathstroke storyline was the best.
Yeah.
And
But this one's still pretty good, and
yeah.
it's still going. Roy, hasn't had a lot of attention in the show so far. Like me and Elijah have told each other,
Yeah.
but hopefully in the second half we will get more.
Well, they are. The first
Attention,
couple
yeah.
episodes, while Oliver's dead and recovering or whatever,
I feel
Roy
like-
Harper is going to be taking this.
Because
yeah.
so far it's really just been like Roy's been like, I'll do a perimeter around the city, or he's like go, it's like, go do something, or he's like, I want to help. It's like, no, you stay here. That's really been the three things that's happening with Roy, and so I want more attention with Roy, and hopefully we will get that.
I feel like when he became Red Arrow, like, it was never established. Like, I came into the next new season, I was like, oh, I guess he's Red Arrow.
I mean,
or
he
something.
did find out who he was and did save the city with him, so
Yeah.
it wasn't like he's going to be like, oh, you can go now.
Well, I know
I
that,
only
but
needed
like,
your help for that, like, 2 hour.
I don't know. I just kind of felt like, oh, that was.
But calling the transition to calling him Speedy was so weird.
Yeah, like.
Because he said Speedy to remind him of Thea to calm down. He's like, oh, they're trying to give me a nickname. Okay. And then later on, they give him the nickname Speedy for some reason. I'm like, why? I don't understand. How'd you give him that name?
And then I feel like, that's nothing else. But like, I still think Deathstroke's storyline was done perfectly. I mean, I think that's where Green Arrow shined the most. Like, he still had that comedic effect in there, a little bit of it, not a lot, but still a little bit of there. And I mean, it was serious enough to the point where it didn't feel like it was going, too dark, but dark enough. I mean, Deathstroke was taken way seriously. I think that guy who played Deathstroke got him perfectly.
Yeah.
This storyline is, hey, I don't know how I feel about this one. I mean, first of all, the whole relationship between Oliver, Thea, and Merlin is confusing, and I don't really. I just like.
The one I don't care for is Laurel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't like either of them.
I don't like Laura at all, because it's always been this line where she's good and then she falls, then she comes back and then she falls again, and I don't
I
care.
think that's kind of every character.
Yeah, but
Sort of, but maybe not.
Laurel's been specifically that.
I mean, okay,
That was,
hopefully,
that was only last season.
Hopefully-
She just became an alcoholic and drug addict last season.
and then she still kind of is, or maybe.
No,
Well, now
she's-
she's an anger addict and goes out and fights people with
Yeah,
masks.
that was weird.
Why would you do that?
That was weird. She's like, the fire that I have, it's gone when I'm fighting. Wouldn't it be more when you're fighting?
I don't know.
She
Okay, but
wants to get her stress out.
Yeah, but the cast is still good. The storyline is we have our mixed feelings about it, but overall we still enjoy Arrow, and we're glad we're watching it still.
All these. Yeah, I will say that now that this is a good show. It's
Yeah.
a great, not even a good show. It's a great show. I like this show. I love this show. I like to watch it. It's still fun. Even though it's a lot darker than The Flash, but
I also like how this season's doing more of the Easter eggs, like what Flash is doing right now
Yeah.
with the heroes and the villains. Like what's his name again? Roy?
Yeah.
Not Roy.
Ray Palmer.
Yeah,
Black-
Ray. It is
yes.
Ray.
Black
Yes.
So it is Ray. I like
Yes.
what they're doing that.
thank God they brought him in.
I thought it was cool how he wasn't like inspired by Oliver, like he
Yeah.
was an original,
Yeah.
like how he was in the comics and how he trained them and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Except in
they're,
the comics,
they're keeping
he
it
was
like subtle
literally-
right now, but you can see the climb to him becoming that hero. So that's probably one of my favorite parts of the show so far.
Well, that's what it's done a lot of the time. It's always introduced the Flash. That's what Arrow was. It was a basis for all the new superhero shows that are on right now. It started
that's what I like how it's
Constantine,
still
Gotham,
doing
Flash. It started all those
that.
shows.
I like how it's still building that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad that they're bringing in like characters like Ray Palmer. I'm glad to see him come back. I hope that they make Black Canary, Black Canary,
I don't really care
not
anymore.
just the Canary. I mean, Chihuahua. Why are they doing this to me?
You don't think they just don't wake up and it's like Black Canary? That sounds like a good name. They're just
So it's been pretty fun to talk about all these shows. We talked for like 20 minutes, half this video on just Arrow by itself.
I still have more to say, but I'm not
We
gonna
might do another video because that'll be a better place to do
Arrow
this.
Smackdown.
But
I just don't understand the problem. He's dark and mean? I don't understand the problem there.
Yeah.
He's a human character. He's human.
All right, well,
So-
we'll talk about this later. Just get
So
into
other
it.
than Arrow and the Flash, we don't really care about any other show really.
That sounds so bad. I mean, but it's so true.
Basically, we don't really care about any other show, but for these two shows, we are very excited for
Mhm.
what they will bring into the table later on.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. It was me, Blake, and Elijah today, and yeah, we're pretty much done, right?
Yeah, looking forward to Supergirl. Maybe. Probably
Maybe,
not.
and then that Krypton show on Sci-Fi, right?
Wait,
They have a Krypton
they're making a Krypton show on
Yeah.
Sci-Fi? Like,
I think it might not be on, but they're making a Krypton
is
show.
it gonna be like Gotham, but just on Krypton?
Then they're doing a live action. Teen
It's
Titans,
like it's
2
either like
weeks.
Really?
it's
Yeah.
either
Hey.
it either
Wow.
On
focuses on
TNT's doing like a live action Teen Titans or something like that.
Oh, they are?
2 or 3 years.
it's either like Superman's father or grandfather they're focusing on. That's what I hear, but but there's a lot of more shows coming out, and the Arrow and these other shows have really sparked that flame.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So yeah, so comment, like, and subscribe. Tell us what you think of all these shows separately. Like, do you care about Gotham? Do you disagree with us? Do you not like how the Flash is? How it's cheesy, but we like how it's cheesy, but still great.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's it. We will give more videos to you guys in the future. Don't forget to subscribe to Just Nerds 2 and Just Nerds, and yeah, we'll see you guys later. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, guys.